I got to tell you, I'm pretty pumped for this weekend, man. Big sports weekend. Tonight, Heat and Panthers. Tomorrow, Heat and Inter Miami. You got the Canes basketball in the afternoon. Tonight, though, like I'm contemplating going to the Panthers game. I don't think I'm going to, though, because it's funny, actually. I mean, my plan is, I think I'm just going to chill tonight because tomorrow night we're going to go out and I'm going to be in trouble. We're going to go to Inter Miami, me and my buddy. But tonight, I think we're just going to chill. We're going to chill in the ZASLOW Mansion family room, watch the Heat and the Panthers. You got the Heat and Panthers going on at the same time. So, because the timing of the games, Panthers are at 7. Panthers will be on the big TV. Heat will be on the small TV. And then we'll be able to flip-flop with intermission. And then the Panther game will be over way before the Heat game's over. So then the Heat will get the big TV when, it's fourth quarter and it's crunch time. So, there you have it. But it's funny. You may say, oh, you don't want to go to the Panther game because then you're going to miss the Heat game. I actually prefer doing that because does anyone else do this where, all right, if I'm watching at home, I don't like having the Heat on the small TV. I want to devote my full attention to both teams. So if I go to the Panther game, I'm devoting my full attention to the Panthers. And then I get home, I DVR the Heat game, then I'm devoting my full attention to the Heat. And, I mean, fast forward through the games, I got bang out a Heat game in hour and 20 minutes. Easy. It's a pleasure. Fast forward through all the commercials, the timeouts, the free throws. You don't need to watch free throws. Just fast forward. You don't need to watch free throws. So, it's actually weird. I prefer to go to the Panthers and then watch the Heat on its own when I get home. Then I can pay attention to both. But I don't know. I think we'll save a little bit of money. We're not going to go tonight to the Panthers, even though it was a huge game. So, anyway, big night tonight. But like I said, and I'm pumped for Anthony Duclair, man. That's a big jolt. Both our teams getting a jolt. Duclair, they're just adding a 30-goal scorer out of nowhere, giving up nothing. The Heat, they're adding Kevin Love. I'm not trying to say that Kevin Love is some type of savior, but it plugs in a hole. And I think Kevin Love still has a lot to offer. You got a championship pedigree there. Good locker room guy. You can already see Bam loves him. They're best friends already. Jimmy may get jealous. I don't know. So I'm really excited about both games. You got something to watch for in both these games tonight. I think that's what I'm saying. All right. But it's Friday. And you may be saying to yourself, ZASLOW, there's a lot of sports happening here, but there's other stuff going on also. There's some good movies out there. So I need to know, is it a big movie? Or is it not a big movie? Yes, that's right, the return of big movie or not a big movie. We haven't done this in a while. I'm excited about it. The ZASLOW family, we go to movies a lot. My younger son, we go to the animated films and the Marvel and DC movies. My older son, we go to the horror and the thriller movies. All right, that's our setup. Well, we got some good movies here. So let's start things off here. This movie is called Jesus Revolution. All right, Jesus Revolution is rated PG-13. It's got some thematic elements. It's got strong drug content. It's a drama. It's out in theaters today. It's starring someone named Joel Courtney, someone named Anna Grace Barlow. It's also starring Kelsey Grammer, Frasier. All right, here's what it's about. Jesus Revolution is the story of one young hippie's quest in the 70s for belonging and liberation that leads not only to peace, love, and rock and roll, but that sets into motion a new counterculture crusade, a Jesus movement. Changing the course of history, inspired by a true movement, Jesus Revolution tells the story of a young Greg Laurie being raised by a struggling mother in the 70s. Laurie and a sea of young people descend on Southern California to redefine truth through all means of liberation. Inadvertently, Laurie meets Lonnie Frisbee, a charismatic hippie street preacher, and Pastor Chuck Smith, who have thrown open the doors of Smith's languishing church to a stream of wandering youth. I gotta tell you, I saw a preview for this movie. I thought it looked pretty good. Rotten Tomatoes, media score, 62%, so above average. Rotten Tomatoes, audience score, 100%. I feel like lately there's been a pretty big disparity between critics and audiences. But I saw a preview for Jesus Revolution. I thought it looked like a good movie. The audience so far agrees. Jesus Revolution, I'm going big movie. I think I'm interested in this. I don't know if I'm going to see it in the theaters, because I really only go to see animated films, Marvel movies, and thrillers in the theaters, but I think I'm into this movie when it's out streaming. All right, next up here. This movie is called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It's rated PG-13. It's got some violence, some action, it's got some language. It's an action movie. It came out in theaters last week. It stars Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Jonathan Majors, Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Douglas. All right. Superhero partners Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne return to continue their adventures as Ant-Man and the Wasp. Together with Hope's parents, Janet Van Dyne and Hank Pym, and Scott's daughter, Cassie Lang, the family finds themselves exploring the quantum realm, interacting with strange new creatures, and embarking on an adventure that will push them beyond the limits of what they thought possible. The media score on Rotten Tomatoes, 49%, below average, not good. The audience score Rotten Tomatoes, 84%. I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania last week. It's kind of like Marvel's version of Star Wars. It looks and feels like Star Wars. If you see the movie, you understand what I'm saying. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, going big movie. If you're into the Marvel movies, you have to watch, you have to know what happened, and Kang is the new big bad. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, that's a big movie. All right, up next. This movie is called Magic Mike's Last Dance. It's rated R. It's got sexual material and language. It's a comedy/drama. It came out in theaters 2 weeks ago. It stars Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek. Here's what it's about. Magic Mike Lane takes the stage again, after a lengthy hiatus following a business deal that went bust, leaving him broke and taking bartender gigs in Florida. What a loser. For what he hopes will be his last hurrah, Mike heads to London with a wealthy socialite who lures him with an offer he can't refuse and an agenda all her own. Now, the media score, 50%, average movie. Audience score, 74%. Not a big movie. I've never seen a Magic Mike movie. I like Channing Tatum. I like Salma Hayek, but I can't do it. This movie's not for me. All right. Next up, this movie is called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. All right, crazy, right? It is I don't even think it has a rating here. It's got to be R. It's a horror movie. It's out in theaters last week. I don't know any of these names who are starring in it, but here's what it's about. The days of adventures and merriment have come to an end as Christopher Robin, now a young man, has left Winnie the Pooh and Piglet to fend for themselves. As time passes, feeling angry and abandoned, the two become feral. After getting a taste for blood, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet set off to find a new source of food. It's not long before their bloody rampage begins. You may be out there thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? Well, what happened here was the rights to Winnie and the Pooh, it became public domain somehow. So now anyone can make a movie without a copyright infringement on Winnie the Pooh. And this is what you got here. The media score for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, 5%. They're telling you it's one of the worst movies ever. The audience score, 52%. They're telling you it's average. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, not a big movie. I mean, maybe when it comes streaming, I'll take a look for shock value. This is not a big movie. This is very stupid. Speaking of stupid, I got one more movie for you here. Big movie or not a big movie? This is called Cocaine Bear. It's rated R. It's got language throughout. It's got drug content. It's got bloody violence and gore. It's a thriller/comedy out in theaters today, directed by Elizabeth Banks. It stars Kerry Russell, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Jesse Tyler Ferguson. Here's what it's about. Inspired by the 1985 true story of a drug runner's plane crash, missing cocaine, and the black bear that ate it, this wild thriller finds an oddball group of cops, criminals, tourists, and teens converging in a Georgia forest where a 500-pound apex predator has ingested a staggering amount of cocaine and gone on a coke-fueled rampage for more blow and blood. The media score for Cocaine Bear, believe it or not, 73%. The audience score for Cocaine Bear, believe it or not, 82%. From what I understand, the true story of the bear died immediately. Because he ate cocaine. Cocaine Bear, not a big movie. I know a lot of you may disagree. There's no way I'm going to the theater and paying for this movie. It'll come out streaming to get a good laugh. I'll watch it with my older son because he thinks this movie looks crazy. I would never bring myself to the theater. I can never go, but now listen, no one goes up to the box office anymore and says 2 tickets to Cocaine Bear. But if I had to say 2 tickets to Cocaine Bear, I can't live with myself. Cocaine Bear, not a big movie. And that right there is another edition. A big movie or not a big movie. Okay. Wow, we're accomplishing a lot today. It's a Friday show, but there's a lot happening here. I'm very into this sports weekend, though, by the way. This has been a slow sports week, but we got a ton going on starting on Monday because we're going to have several Heat games. You got the Panthers, you got Inter Miami, you got the Hurricanes, FSU. Come on. I wish I could make it down, actually, to the Canes FSU game tomorrow. I can't. My son's got a soccer match against their rival. Weston Select U14 boys, shout out. Got a matchup tomorrow against their rival, Weston FC Black. Yes, that's going to be a big one. I'm excited about that. Hey, by the way, it's the weekend, so you want to get after it a little bit? You want to get a little bit of loose? What better way to kick back than to get yourself a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba? That's right. Johnny Cuba is the official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0. European roots with a Caribbean soul. Start your afternoon, start your weekend with a refreshing German lager in a can. Pick up a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba, your local Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas, Presidente, Sedanos. I'm going to pick up a 6-pack this afternoon. I'm going to get ready and prime for the weekend. I'm going to sit in the ZASLOW Mansion family room tonight, watching the Heat game, watching the Panther game. I got a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba. That's right. Obviously, you got to drink responsibly, and don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. I want to give a shout out as well. So tonight, my man Juan at Johnny Cuba, that's his baby. My man Juan, he's been keeping me up to speed what's going on with the Columbus High School basketball team, all right? And Columbus tonight, if you're interested, that's at 7 p.m. at the FIU Arena. Columbus, the Explorers the boys basketball team, Carlos Boozer's kid is on that team, and he's a big deal, all right? Tonight, they're playing in the regional final. Regional championship, Columbus boys basketball team, tonight 7 p.m. at FIU. I'm going to try and get down to that, actually. Like I just said, I got a lot on my plate tonight between watching the Panthers, watching the Heat, and then you also got the basketball game. I'm going to try and get down there. I got to see what's going on here. But tonight, shout out to the Columbus basketball team. Good luck to them. I like that school. So they're playing tonight, regional championship, and hopefully those boys are able to bring it home because, everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows somebody who went to Columbus. Great high school down here in Miami. All right. Let me get you up to speed on what's going on here with the NBA. The NBA returned last night, and there are a few games of note that I want to mention, all right? Last night, you had Denver. They're practically running away with the Western Conference. Denver now, after last night's 115-109 win over Cleveland, Michael Porter Jr. had 25. Jokic, he's going to win his 3rd straight MVP. 24 points, 18 rebounds, 13 assists. If he wins the MVP the last 2 years, and this year he's having just the same kind of year, and his team's in first place, he has to win the MVP again. Well, Denver now, 42-18, second best record in the league, 6 games up on Memphis. They're running away with the Western Conference. Boston beat Indiana in overtime last night, 142-137. Jason Tatum, 31, Jaylen Brown, 30. Miles Turner had 40 points and 10 rebounds. The Mavericks got their first win with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving playing together. The Mavs beat the Spurs, who they've quit on the season. They want Victor Wembanyama. Mavericks win 142-116. Doncic had 28 points and 10 assists. Irving had 23. And the Lakers, the new-look Lakers last night, even though LeBron James had just 13 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, he was only 5 of 20 from the floor. The Lakers still smoked the Warriors, 124-111. New addition Malik Beasley had 25. That's a really good sign for the Lakers that LeBron did not have any kind of efficient game, and they still were able to win by double figures. It's a terrible sign for the Warriors. Obviously, they're still waiting for Steph Curry to return, but this team can't win on the road. Right, this season, right now, the Warriors, who hold the number 10 spot, all right, so they're a playing team, they're 7-23 on the road. So if they go into the play-in tournament as the 10 seed, they're going to have to win two road games to get into the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs. If the playoffs started today, which would be weird, because there's still a bunch of games left, the Warriors would have to win at the Jazz, and then the Warriors would have to win at the loser of Minnesota and New Orleans. Well, Minnesota at home is 20-13. It's fine. New Orleans is 20-10. That's a good home record. Utah is 19-12. That's fine. Well, the Warriors are 7-23 on the road. They're going to miss the playoffs. They're not going to win 2 road games. So that's a big deal. All right. So that's a little update there on what's going on as far as the NBA goes. Most importantly, you got the Heat tonight. Let's get to big deal or not a big deal. Come on. Big deal or not a big deal. That's how we wrap up every show. We will wrap up the week with another edition. Big deal or not a big deal. So yesterday, NBA Radio, Sirius XM, my guy Justin Termini, NBA Today in the afternoon drive time. Kevin McHale, the former Celtic legend, the former head coach, he was on with Termini yesterday. And obviously, look, the topic of the year, unfortunately, is the load management.
Load management thing drives me nuts, too, because you look at, if you can play, you should go out there and play. And there is something to be said. I understand if you're injured, you shouldn't play. If something hurts and you go in and the trainer says, "Well, you got a thigh bruise." Well, you know what? Put a pad on it, and then put a wrap on it and put a pad on it and put the old football pads over. You're not going to get hit again. You can surely play with that. Guys just don't. And what happened to me, I'll leave you with this, Justin. I think that what happened with load management is that, do you ever hear about the 7th man or the 8th man on the team getting load managed? No, it's always the stars. And so it became a badge of honor. I'm so good,
100%.
they tell me not to. I'm so good, they tell me not to play.
100%.
I'm so good, they make me not play. So all of a sudden, in a copycat league, which it's always been, all of a sudden guys are like, I want to be that.
Look, I've been saying it. I've been saying 2 things as far as the load management goes. Number 1, why do hockey players need load management? They never take nights off. And number 2, why is it only star players who need load management? McHale's 100% right. This is a big deal. It's a big deal. Everyone knows it's a big deal, except for the commissioner. Softest commissioner in sports, Adam Silver, does not see it as a problem. He said as much at the All-Star game when he held his press conference. It's a problem for everybody except for the softest commissioner in professional sports, Adam Silver. Is a big deal. Big deal or not a big deal? Great game on TNT last night. Post All-Star break, get everyone back in the mix. Sixers, Grizzlies, that was my kind of game. You had bad blood, you had pushing and shoving, you had technical fouls. These teams don't like each other. Not all this hugging and kissing garbage. Last night, that was an NBA game. That's what I want to see. Well, late in the game, the Sixers were up by 1.
No! Loose! Diving! Collision! Harden! Embiid!
I mean, he's the best. Kevin Harlan, he is the best. That's a big deal because it's a great win for the Sixers. But most importantly, what a call there by Kevin Harlan. Big deal or not a big deal? So, the NBA on TNT, they were back last night. You had Ernie, and you had Kenny, and you had Charles. Where was Shaq? Shaq was out sick.
Kenny the Jet Smith.
I'm here.
Charles Barkley.
I'm here.
This is like 13 years ago. It's just the three of us.
You know what Kenny called those? The good old days.
The big fella, Shaquille O'Neal, not feeling well tonight.
Oh my God. Please stop it. Please stop.
We send him our best. He's under the
Poor
weather
baby.
or whatever. And
just go down the street. You'll see him at the hookah bar.
Yeah.
If he took off and stayed in Atlanta, he's an idiot. If I take it off, I'm going to be a Tahiti.
But if you're sick,
he's not sick.
You just want to be at home in McDonough.
He's not sick.
McDonough.
He's Superman. Superman doesn't get sick.
That's exactly right.
I thought Superman doesn't get sick.
That's good. Hey, Shaq, man up. All right.
Man up.
I roll some ice and hot on it and bring your ass in the
come
studio.
on, man.
Just rub.
I know this is backbreaking work. Come on, man. All right, let's get to work.
All right, this is not a big deal. Look, everyone gets sick every once in a while. What would be a big deal is if Shaq doesn't call Doctors on Call 365, all right? You got to make sure you get better, Shaq. Call Doctors on Call 365, 786-577-9302. He may be in Atlanta. That may be a little bit out of their range, but whatever. You call, you figure it out. Not a big deal, though. Get better, Shaq. Finally, big deal or not a big deal? So we talked about this yesterday. Eric Bieniemy, former offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, now the offense coordinator, assistant head coach of the Washington. They're called the Commanders still. He was introduced to the media yesterday, and he was asked about LaShawn McCoy's criticism on FS1 Speak.
LaShawn McCoy is a future Hall of Fame runner. Okay, everybody's entitled to their own position, to their own comments and how they feel. When it's all said and done with, I think that's all I have to say, because he's entitled to his own opinion. That's life. Okay, you got good and you have bad, you know. It does not impact me in any way, because one thing that you learn when you're in this position, you have to learn to eliminate distractions, all right? My job is to focus on the now. Everything outside these walls has no impact on Eric Bieniemy moving forward.
Yeah, this is not a big deal. I mean, Eric Bieniemy summed it up. He's obvious. LaShawn McCoy played for him. Even if he didn't play for him, he's got a right to his own opinion. But I think I don't believe the narrative about him being black, and that's why he's not getting a head coach job. I think there's a little more to it. I think there's probably a lot more to it. I think that he now knows he needs to get out from under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes' shadow. I think that teams are like, hey, we don't know how much you had to do with that. So now he's got an opportunity to prove that. I think it's impossible that he's a terrible interview. Of course it's possible. Is it possible that a player in Eric Bieniemy, who in his days in college and in the NFL, had a little bit of a lengthy rap sheet? He got in trouble a bunch. Does that is that a problem when you're going to make a guy the CEO, essentially, of a professional sports team that he has kind of a lengthy history of getting in trouble back when he was younger, when he was a player? But here we're talking about being the CEO of a team. Does that bother franchises? I think there's a bunch of things at play here that do not have to do with the color of his skin, but I'm going not a big deal. LaShawn McCoy's allowed to have his opinion. And that right there is another edition of Big Deal or Not a Big Deal. Yes, I'm very excited for this sports weekend. Hey, make sure you tell everybody. You have no idea how many, you guys have been so great supporting me. My sponsors have been so great. But you have no idea how many times I run into people and like, Zaslow, where'd you go? You're not doing a show? I'm like, dude, you can still listen. I'm doing the show. Like, it feels like we're in a little bit of an echo chamber on social media and everybody knows everything. It's not true. So tell your friends, tell your family where they can find ZASLOW Show 2.0, wherever you get your podcasts. It's so easy. Make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that good stuff. Thanks to everybody who helped put together a great show today. Really good job by everybody involved. Make sure you listen tomorrow. It's Still Real to Me under the ZASLOW Show 2.0 umbrella. We'll make sure everyone gets caught up on all the hot stories in the world of pro wrestling this week. We'll talk to you on Monday on ZASLOW Show 2.0. You know what that means.